The next factor of production is labor. We have already seen the first factor of production, that is land, and the characteristics of land. Now, what is labor? Labor is the active factor of production. Without labor, there cannot be any production. Land is a passive factor. Land on its own cannot do anything. That's why it is called as a passive factor. Whereas labor is the active factor of production. In the ordinary sense, labor means manual labor or unskilled work. Manual is a physical work done by human beings is called as manual labor, because in certain production process we use machines or we also use animals. But when it is said manual labor, it means the involvement of a human being, a physical work done by humans, in contrast to labor by machines and working animals. What do you mean by unskilled work? Unskilled worker is a person who does not use reasoning or intellectual abilities. Such a person is called as an unskilled worker. So here, labor refers to a work undertaken for securing an income or reward. Why do we work? Why am I working? Because I secure an income. I get a reward. Every month I get a reward. Okay? So everybody wants to work because when they work, they get a reward. So a work is undertaken for securing an income or reward. So work can be manual or intellectual. For example, the work done by an agricultural worker or a cook or a rickshaw puller or a mason is manual. The work of a doctor or a teacher or an engineer is intellectual. So there are different types of labor: manual labor, intellectual labor. So it depends. Some people use more of their energy to work. Physical work is involved in the production process. They use more of their ability. Hard-working people, such as agricultural worker, ரிக்ஷா புல்லர், சரீரத்தை ரொம்ப என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, ஸ்ட்ரெயின் பண்ணாதான் அவங்களுக்கு வருமானம் கிடைக்கும். அப்படி இருக்கவங்க மேனுவல். இப்போ ஒரு டீச்சர், ஒரு லாயர், ஒரு டாக்டர் எடுத்துக்கிட்டோன்னா சரீர பிரகாரமா ரொம்ப கல் உடைக்கிற மாதிரி அந்த மாதிரி ஸ்ட்ரென்வஸா வேலை செய்ய மாட்டாங்க. பட் தே யூஸ் தேர் மைண்ட், their intelligence. That's why they are called as intellectual. Labor can be manual or intellectual. So what are the characteristics of labor? Labor is an active factor of production. We have already seen that. Labor involves several types. I've already explained this also. It can be manual, like a farmer, or intellectual, like a teacher or a lawyer. Labor is perishable. What do you mean by that? One day the labor will perish. As long as the person is there, as long as the laborer is there, the labor will also exist. Once the laborer perishes, his labor will also perish. As you get old also, the labor perishes. So labor is perishable. Labor is inseparable from the laborer. What do you mean by that? To do any work, physical presence of a labor is compulsory. I cannot sit at home and I cannot do anything. I have to come to the school. My physical presence must be there to teach a lesson. Okay? So even now you're listening to me. I am teaching from my home, but my physical presence is required at home to record everything. So labor is inseparable from the laborer. You cannot take away the labor from the laborer. Wherever the laborer goes, the labor will also accompany him. Okay? So labor is inseparable from the laborer. The physical presence of labor is compulsory. To sell the service of the laborer, his physical presence must be there. Next, labor is less mobile between places and occupation. Labor cannot move from one place to another very easily, from one occupation to another occupation very easily. Suppose if somebody says, I will give you good salary if you come to Russia. Do you think I will go there? No. Because I've got certain attachment to this place, to the city, to my friends, the relatives, my family. So I will be a bit hesitant to go and take up a work in Russia. But if I think over and over again, and I think the advantages of working in Russia, maybe I will try to go and work there. But labor is less mobile. Not everybody will be willing to go abroad and work. Likewise, I am a teacher now. If someone calls me and says, can you come as a cook in my restaurant? No, I will be hesitant to take up that occupation because I've been trained in this area for so many years. So I would like to work in the school itself. I would like to take up a work as a teacher. So labor is less mobile between places and occupation. Labor is a means as well as an end. Labor is a means as well as an end. What do you mean by this? It is both the cause of production and the consumer of the product. Labor only helps in the production process. Ultimately, laborer only consumes everything. So labor is a means as well as an end. Labor units are heterogeneous. Labor units will not be the same. If you take myself, I will not be the same always. Some days I will be very jovial, some days I will be very strict, some days I might teach very well, some days I will be very dull. It differs. Okay, with the same person itself, the units of labor differs. It is heterogeneous. Person to person also it differs. All the teachers who are teaching do not teach in the same style. Each one has got a different style of teaching. So labor units are heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means they vary from person to person. There is a variety. Homogeneous means in all aspects, if they are same, it is called as homogeneous. But labor units are heterogeneous. Labor supply determines its reward. So what is the reward for laborers? Wages is the reward for labor. Okay. So how is that reward decided? It is decided on the basis of supply. எப்படி தீர்மானிக்கிறாங்க யாருக்கு எவ்வளோ சம்பளம் கொடுக்கலான்னு? இப்போ ஒரு சாதாரண டாக்டர்கிட்ட போனீங்கன்னா ஃபீஸ் வந்து 100 rupees 200 rupees கேட்பார். இதே இது ஒரு ஸ்பெஷலிஸ்ட்டு, ஒரு ஹார்ட் சர்ஜன், அது ஒரு ஸ்பெஷலைஸ் பண்ண ஒரு ஐ ஸ்பெஷலிஸ்ட், இப்படி போனீங்கன்னா 500 rupees சார்ஜ் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஏன்னா ஒரு சிட்டியில் எடுத்துக்கிட்டிங்கன்னா there will be many doctors. General physicians will be 500 or 600 people. Whereas if you take specialist, neurologist, nephrologist, இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்பெஷலிஸ்ட்டை பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு சிட்டியில் ஒரு 50 பேர் ஒரு 20 பேர் தான் இருப்பாங்க. அப்போ அவங்களுக்குரிய ஃபீஸ் வந்து ஜாஸ்தி இருக்கும். ஸோ தட் இஸ் த மீனிங் ஃபார் லேபர் சப்ளை டிட்டர்மைன்ஸ் இட்ஸ் ரிவார்ட். இஃப் தெர் ஆர் more number of laborers, if the supply of laborers is more, the reward will be less. If the labor supply is less, then the reward will be more. Suppose if I say I am going to quit my job, if there is a vacancy, immediately 100 people will come and apply for the post because there are so many people. That too in India, the population is more. So many people are jobless. So everybody wants to have a work. So depending on the supply only, the reward will be decided. That's why teachers are paid more in Middle East countries, whereas in India it is less compared to Middle East countries. Okay, because there the labor supply is very less, so the reward is high. Whereas in India, the labor supply is more, so the reward is low. Labor has weak bargaining power. பேரம் பேசும் ஆற்றல் மிகவும் குறைவு. இப்போ தனியாக ஒருத்தர் போய் எனக்கு ஜாஸ்தி சம்பளம் தாங்கன்னா நோபடி வில் கிவ். அதுக்கு தான் ட்ரேட் யூனியன்ஸ் வச்சுருக்காங்க. ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து என்ன பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க, யூனியனை வச்சு தான் தே வில் ஸ்டார்ட் பார்கெனிங். ஸோ லேபர் ஹேஸ் வீக் பார்கெனிங் பவர். ஸோ தீஸ் ஆர் த கேரக்டரிஸ்டிக்ஸ் ஆஃப் லேபர்.